So one of the things that we're missing right now is doing input-output. We demand a lot of interactivity from our programs these days, and we're not really providing so much. So let's go ahead and write a very simple program. One that says, give me 3 numbers, and I will add them together for you, right? We'll have an int x, int y, and an int z, and our output will just simply be adding them together. So sout, please enter 3 numbers. Sout first number. Right? So that should do fine. And then we'll just have a second number and third number statement, just because it's always good to give it's always good to treat your users like they're idiots, because we all are very big idiots. All of us. Don't quote me on that, by the way, the treating your users like idiots. But sometimes it's just, they're going to not know what to do, even though it seems so obvious to you. And the answer is probably because you're overestimating how obvious it is. So, system.println, please enter 3 numbers. So how do we get input from the user? Well, we do so using a utility called scanner. Scanner keyboard, which will represent getting the, we can name this whatever we want. I just call it keyboard to remind me that it's coming from the keyboard. New scanner, system.in. Now you're noticing that I'm getting probably a whole bunch of errors, and this is understandable because not every program needs to use the scanning module. In fact, Java has a whole bunch of stuff that's been that the developers have already written for us, a bunch of libraries and modules to use, and we don't always need them. For instance, I don't need to use the file module, any of the file IO system stuff for this program, or the networking things for this program, or going down into the operating system level, or anything having to do with graphics, right? So it wouldn't make sense for the executable, the stuff that we compile, to include that. Otherwise, we might end up having some giant file that's massive. So as a result, we need to import the modules that we want to include in our Java program. So IDEs will handle this for you automatically, but if you need to do it manually, if you know what you need to import, which will almost always be under .util under java.util, we just import java.util and then what we need. And almost everything we do in this course will be under java.util. So this will import java.util.scanner. If you're an IDE, you can pretty much get this auto-fixed. See, import class over here, right? Just have to hit the light bubble or hit Alt-Enter. Import class, and it will import, and it will write that import statement automatically for you. So how do we use it now that we have it? Well, we'd use it like this. If I want 3 numbers, I just simply say keyboard.nextInt. And this is pretty much the only time you're going to see me using nextInt, because as you'll see, I use nextLine almost all the time. .nextInt. Whoops. You know what? I really should be copying pasting here. Really save myself some time. I'll fix it in post. I won't fix it in post. All right. So, sout x plus y plus z. So now we run this. It says, please enter 3 numbers. First number. Okay. And now the program just stops until we type in a number and put it into the keyboard, right? It doesn't stop. It doesn't go on. I have to put in the number and hit enter. And also, if I put in something that's not a number, I'll get a crash, right? I'll get an exception. It won't like that, right? When you say nextInt, it expects an integer. To be completely reasonable about that. Now, there are ways to detect that, but you won't need to do that too much. Enter your first number. So we're going to enter 1. Second number will be 5, and the third number will be 10. right? And it'll add up 16, right? Specifically, these need to be integers, right? Come on. First number. Because if I do 2.5, 2.4, right, that's not an integer. That is a double, right? So we have to store ints inside of integers. Okay? But that's fairly straightforward. You can get a double by doing next double. You can get a character by doing next character. But the most useful thing is to get a whole line of text by using next line. And that's by far the most useful thing, as you'll see when we do file reading, because once you have the string, you can parse it for any information you need. Let's go ahead and see how it is, right? Ooh, this is a multi-line comment. This is just simply saying, hey, everything between the slash star and the star slash, that's commented out, right? Much quicker than trying to comment out each line individually. So let's go ahead and say, hey, system.out.println, please enter some text. And we'll just simply out, you entered string input is equal to inputty. String input is equal to keyboard dot next line. This again, using next line is about the easiest way to handle input, mainly because it will grab everything before you hit the enter key, which is very useful. So we'll just simply you entered input. And this will just simply be, and this is a fairly straightforward program now. All we're doing is we're echoing back what we said to the user. Please enter some text. Let's be pretty literal here. Some text. And you entered some text. Wonderful. Okay. So the reason I say that's the last time you're going to see me use next ints is because most of the time when I want to do user input, I don't like, it's bad to mix next ints and next lines, as you're about to see here. So first number 1, 2, 3. Please enter some text. You entered blank. I didn't enter anything. It didn't give me a chance to enter anything. Why did it skip? This is the reason why, right? Actually, when you enter a number, it goes first number 1, second number. So first number you enter 1, and then let's see over here. You technically enter 1 and then a keystroke for a new line /n. Next we enter. So then for the second number we did. There was still a /n. So when we do the next int and put it in here, what it does is reads up until it finds the next line and just puts that into here. Then the second number, right, it has that /n still in there. It reads past that to the 2 that I put in, and so on, and goes on to the next line. So by the time we get down to the last number over here, what we already have is a new line in here. Or something. Because that's my hypothesis at least. But mixing these things basically means that we still have some, when you mix them, you essentially have some stuff left over in the buffer. Let's see, do we have any, yeah. Skipping any line separator at the end. This is actually the source code for Scanner. So you can actually look at the source code for any of this stuff. It's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and view. Got to get out of distraction-free mode for this. Okay. Scanning. View. And distraction-free mode. Okay. So we entered some text. Entered 3 numbers. So how do I get around this? Most of the time I'm just going to use next line. Instead, which reads an entire string. But of course, as I mentioned, you don't necessarily want to, we can't store a string in an integer. That doesn't make sense, just like we can't do it with doubles. So how do we get around that? Well, we'll use that class that I showed you earlier, the integer.parse int, which takes in a string and turns it into an integer. So now we can mix and match these all we want. Right, we'll read in a line, it gets thrown into parse int. I'm doing it in 1 line, but you can actually break it up into 2 statements if you need to, like so. Right, so int num is equal to sorry, string num is equal to, which is a bad name for a string, by the way, number, is equal to keyboard dot next line, and then integer dot parse int num, and that will get that out. And so now we run this. Oh, assuming I don't forget a semicolon over there. There's number 1, 2, 3, and we're good.